So today I'll be talking about isomorphisms. So you have heard this term before as well in group theory, in linear algebra, etc. etc. Now, what is the basic meaning of isomorphism? That, like, if I'm talking in terms of group theory, like, you know the definition of an isomorphism, and when two groups are isomorphic, they both are exactly the same group, just represented differently. That is the meaning of isomorphism in group theory. Now, similarly, we have something called as like when two graphs are exactly same, just drawn differently, we say that both the graphs are isomorphic. For example, I'll give you a basic understanding what I said. Consider two graphs. Let me draw two graphs pictorially. So consider this graph G1, and let me draw another graph G2. Okay, these are two graphs, graph G1 and graph G2. What do you think? Are the two graphs same or different? What is your guess? Are the two graphs same or different? And how do you decide why they are same, why they are different? If you notice carefully, these two graphs are exactly the same graphs. Why? You can just think that this is made up of some thread and this is also made up of some thread. You can just stretch this and just make this tight like this here to here. So this is the edge connecting these two vertices. You might, instead of drawing like this, you would have drawn like this and just turn this up clockwise by 90 degree, and this will be the same as this one. Can you imagine? Just connect this to this, not like this but like this directly, and just turn this 90 degree clockwise, and this will exactly become this two. So you see, these two graphs are exactly the same graphs, just represented differently, just drawn differently. We say that these two graphs are isomorphic. We say that these two graphs are isomorphic. But how do we define two graphs, or how will you decide? Like, this is a very simple thing you can see, but we have to talk about we have to talk about some maps, one and onto maps. For example, suppose this is v1, v2, v3, v4, and this is, suppose, I'm just starting like that only. Okay, u1, u2, u3, u4. You can also name the edges. Let me call the edge f1, f2, f3, f4, f5, and e1, e2, e3, e4, e5. So my point is this: when number of vertices are different in two graphs, they cannot be isomorphic. That is very obvious, because the first thing, or what are the necessary conditions to be isomorphic, they should have same number of vertices and same number of edges. But that will also not guarantee that the two graphs are isomorphic. We'll see some examples later on. So how do we decide that these two are exactly the same graphs? You have to construct two maps. Okay, I'll tell you how you have to construct this map. So let me first define what I mean by isomorphism. So definition, and then I'll tell you exactly. So what is the definition? This is the definition. Let G1 be some graph. G1 equals to having some vertex at V1 and some h set E1, and G2 be another graph, not picked here, G2 be this graph having some vertex set V2 and some h set E2, be two graphs. G1 is said to be isomorphic, said to be isomorphic if there exists a one-to-one correspondence. One-to-one correspondence means there exists a bijective. Instead of writing one-to-one, I'll write bijective. The one-to-one correspondence means bijective. If there exists a bijective map F from vertex set of G1 to vertex set of G2, and a bijective map H from H set of G1 to H set of G2. So see, this is not the complete definition. For the graphs this to be isomorphic, they should have same number of vertices and same number of edges. That is obvious. This is the reason that I have written. I can find a bijective map. That means number of elements in V1 is same as number of elements in V2. Number of edges in G1 is same as number of edges in G2. So you have to find these two bijective mappings, because if the number of vertices are not same, it is very much clear that these two graphs are different graphs. Because if the graphs are same, what do you mean by same? They have the same number of vertices, same number of edges, and they look exactly same. So firstly, the number of vertices in both the graphs should be same, and the number of edges in both the graphs should be same. This is what I mean by a bijective map from V1 to V2 and E1 to E2. Not only that, one more extra condition is required. Just like we'll see that even if two graphs have same number of vertices and same number of edges, both of these may not be isomorphic to each other. We'll see that example later on. So one more condition is given, which is very strong condition, such that, so what is the strong condition? You have to understand this point very carefully. Such that for any edge Ek in E1, vertices V1, Vi and Vj are n vertices of Ek in G1 if and only if f of Vi and f of Vj are n vertices of H of Ek in G2. So this strong condition must be satisfied. What is this strong condition? I'll explain. You have to find two bijective maps F and H. F takes vertex set to vertex set and H takes H set to H set. But just constructing these two bijective maps is not enough. You have to construct these bijective maps in such a way that if you pick up any edge from the first graph, suppose I am naming that edge as Ek. So try to understand my point. If I am choosing any edge from the first graph, suppose I am choosing the edge E5. So E5 will have some n vertices. For example, V4 and V1 are the n vertices of E5. This is what I have written. So if I am picking up any edge Ek in the first graph, it will have some n vertices. Now try to understand my point. This n vertices will have an image under F, because F sends all the vertices of G1 to all the vertices of G2, right? So V1 will have an image under F, V4 will have an image under F, and E5 is an edge. So E5 is here. E5 will have an image under H. So H will be mapped to H of E5, V4 will be mapped to F of V4, and V1 will be mapped to F of V1. So you have to construct a bijective map in such a way that F of Vi and F of Vj are the n vertices of H of Ek. That means the edge which is mapped here and the vertices which are mapped here, those vertices must be the n vertices of the edge which is mapped from here to here. Did you understand my point? So using this definition, I'll prove that these two graphs are isomorphic. They are exactly the same graphs. So let's see this example. I'll draw the same graph again. So example, maybe I may name differently, but let me draw the same graph that I had drawn. So how I had drawn? Yes, so this was the first one, graph G1. Hold on. It is, yes, G1. This was the graph G1. Let me give the name as V1, V2, V3, V4. Edge I am naming like that only, E1, E2, E3, E4, E5. And let me draw another graph G2, which I have drawn something like this. Sorry, should have been straight. Okay, doesn't matter. So this is, suppose I'm taking this as U1, this is U2, this is U3, this is U4, and this is E1, this is E2, this is E3, this is F1, F2, F3, F4, F5. Now I want to prove that these two graphs are isomorphic, or G1 is isomorphic to G2. I want to prove that G1 is isomorphic to G2. I have to find two bijective maps that satisfy that condition. So I will tell you how to take. Let us define a map F from V1. I am assuming that V1 means the vertex set of G1. You can write that down, and V2 is the vertex set of G2 by like this. So I will show you the image of V1, image of V2, image of V3, and image of V4. I need the image of this one, and this map should be 1, 1 and on 2. Now you see, I will think very wisely. So I'll just stretch this and keep it here, and just tone this like this. Try to imagine, okay? Try to imagine just to stretch this one tight and just tone this like this. So V1 will be replaced by U4. Can you imagine? So I'll send V1 to U4. Just try to imagine if I rotate like this. So U4 will come here, right? Just try to rotate like this. And then V4 will go to U3. You see? Because if I'm rotating like this will go at the top. And top I have V4. So V4 will go to U3. Where will V2 go? Let's see. If I rotate like this, so U1 will come here. That means V2 will go to U1, and remaining V3 will go to U2. You may check. Just try to imagine. If I rotate like this, U2 will take the place of V3. Then only they are exactly same. If I stretch like this, turn this like this, and keep over here, then they are exactly same. So definitely this is a 1, 1 and onto map. That is very clear because all are distinct and they have the same number of elements. So this is clearly a bijective map. So one task is done. Another task is to find another bijective map from H set to H set. So I have to make another bijective map. So let us define let us define H from H set to H set by, so I have to show the image of E1, image of E2, image of E3, image of E4, and image of E5 is also required. Okay, so I need the images of this one. Who can tell me what will be the image of E1? What image of E1 will you choose? Yes, so just try to imagine you just turn this way, right? If you turn this way, this will take the place of E1. So I will map E1 to F2. Next, so if I am turning like this, E2 is taking the place of F3, or F3 is taking the place of E2. So E2 will go to F3. E3 will take the place of F4 if I am not mistaken, right? What else? E4. Where will E4 go? E4 will go to E5, I assume. No. If I am turning this like this, E5 will go to F5, right? And this will go to F1. E4 will go to F1. Where is E4? This way. F1. Yes. Hold on. No, I made a mistake. Just a minute. So it is right. You may check. Now I have constructed two bijective maps very wisely, so that that extra condition given in the definition must be satisfied. Is it satisfied? Let's check why. Yes, it is satisfied. You choose any edge. You choose any edge. Suppose I'll write it here. Okay, I'll write it here. So you choose any edge. I am choosing the edge E1. What are the n vertices of E1? It is V1 and V4. So E1 has n vertices, V1 and V4. I'll write like this. E1 has n vertices, V1 and V4. Now, what is the image of E1? Image of E1 is F2. And what is the image of V1 and V4? V1 is mapped to U4 and V4 is mapped to U3. So I should have that F2 is the F2 has n vertices U4 and U3. Let's check. F2 has n vertices U3 and U4. You see, this is correct. So the first, we have to check this for every possible edge. Let's check for E2. E2. So the n vertices of E2 is V4 and V3. Okay, V4 and V3. What is the image of E2? Image of E2 is F3 and image of V4 is U3. Image of V3 is U2. So in the new graph G2, in the next graph G2, what I have? What should I have? U2 and U3 must the n vertices of F3. So U2 and U3 must be the n vertices of F3. You have to check this for every possible edge, and I am assuming that we have checked and it is correct. That means the definition of isomorphism has been satisfied and these two graphs are isomorphic, or I can say G1 is isomorphic to G2. Am I clear up to here? So again and again I am repeating the same fact. Just constructing these bijective maps will not do the job. You have to satisfy this extra condition. It is very good if you write all of these. I will write. So you should also write this. So we see that this I will write basically. Just a minute. So we see that V1 and V4 are the n vertices of E1 and f of V1 and f of V2 are the n vertices of H of E1 and etc. You may write all of these etc. And what can I do then? You have to write for every possible edge, by the way. That is the reason I wrote etc. So what can I say? Okay, therefore, by definition of isomorphism, G1 is isomorphic to G2. Why G1 is isomorphic to G2? Because I constructed a map from V1 to V2 and E1 to E2. If I would have constructed the map from V2 to V1 and E2 to E1, then I will say G2 is isomorphic to G1. So any confusion up to here? Now I have few questions. Is a graph G always isomorphic to itself? Is a graph G always isomorphic to itself? It is very obvious to construct such a maps and satisfying the definition. It is very easy. Now, if G1 is isomorphic to G2, will G2 will also be isomorphic to G1? Why? See one thing. Yes. Very good. If G1 is isomorphic to G2, I can find two maps from V1 to V2 which is bijective, E1 to E2 which is bijective and satisfying this condition. Because they are bijective, I can find the inverse. So I can find any F inverse from V2 to V1 satisfying this, H inverse E2 to E1 satisfying this, and this as well. So by definition of isomorphism, then G2 will be isomorphic to G1. So note this thing. If G1 is isomorphic to G2, then so is G2 is isomorphic to G1. So instead of writing G1 is isomorphic to G2 or G2 is isomorphic to G1, we can also write that G1 and G2 are isomorphic. Okay, we can write that down. G1 and G2 are isomorphic. That means they are the same graph but represented differently. Okay. And similarly, if G1 is isomorphic to G2 and G2 is isomorphic to G3, then G1 will be isomorphic to G3. Okay, this is again very easy. You can take help from the composition of functions and construct a bijective map from G1 to G3 satisfying those conditions. So this the relation of isomorphic is an equivalence relation, because any graph G is isomorphic to itself. If G1 is isomorphic to G2, then G2 is isomorphic to G1. And if G1 is isomorphic to G2 and G2 is isomorphic to G3, then so is G1 isomorphic to G3. So the relation of isomorphism, is an is an equivalence relation. So I'm not going into that detail. Okay. So instead of saying G1 is isomorphic to G2, we better say G1 and G2 are isomorphic. Okay, good enough. I'll give you a task to do. Look at these two graphs. Call this graph G, call this graph H. Let me name the edges as F1, F2, F3, F4, F5, F6. Prove that G and H are isomorphic. That means you have to again produce a map satisfying those conditions. Now it is very easy. What you do, you take help from a thread. Okay, you try to make a figure like this using a thread and just unfold it to bring this, so that you can get the idea. Like this 3 can be thought like this, right? This 3 can be thought like this, and just try to unfold this to get this graph. It is easy, not that difficult. Try to imagine, you will get it. Unfold this like this and you'll get it. Just try to imagine how can you get this from this or this from this. Getting this from this is very easy, so try to think that way. I'm not doing it. Okay, easy. One more thing. Another note I will add in the list. G1 and G2 are isomorphic is often written as G1 like this. We use this symbol to mean isomorphic, or you can write G2 also in front, doesn't matter. So whenever the two graphs are isomorphic, we write like this. So I may use the term same and different. So when I use the term G1 and G2 are same, that means you assume that I'm talking about isomorphism. And if I'm saying that G1 and G2 are different, I am talking about that they are non-isomorphic. So the term same is same as isomorphic, and the term different is same as non-isomorphic. Okay, so now there are many theorems. There are many theorems relating to isomorphism. Let me state all of them one by one. Now this theorem I will call this as necessary condition to be isomorphic. That means suppose G1 is isomorphic to G2. Then we have a list that will happen. Vortex set of G1 will have same number of elements as the vortex set of G2. Number B, the H set of G1 will have same number of elements as H set of G2. This follows directly from the definition. So what is the use of the necessary condition? I have explained this hundred of times. Necessary condition is used to disprove things. That means if the two graphs are isomorphic, then this will happen. That means if this will not happen, then this will not happen. We use the contrapositive statement of the necessary condition. Keep that in mind. That means if I can find two graphs which do not have same number of vertices, then these two graphs cannot be isomorphic, because you cannot find a bijective map, right? Similarly, if I have two graphs which do not have same number of edges, those two graphs cannot be isomorphic. So always keep that in mind. If I give you two graphs and if I ask you to check whether these two graphs are isomorphic or not, you always start by counting the vertex set. You always start by counting the vertices. If the vertices in both the graphs are same, then you go for next step. If the vertices are different, that means if the number of vertices are different, you simply conclude that the two graphs are non-isomorphic. Similarly, if you count the edges, if the number of edges in both the graphs are same, then they are isomorphic. Sorry, then you cannot conclude anything because it is a necessary condition. But if the number of edges are not same, you can say that clearly that the graphs are not isomorphic. So remember that one thing. If the number of edges are same, you cannot conclude that the two graphs are isomorphic. Remember, this is not if and only if condition. If isomorphic, then this will happen. But I will not say that if this happens, they are isomorphic. No. So if this does not happen, then this will also not happen. So necessary condition is always used to disprove things. So there are many other necessary conditions. Number C. G1 has a vertex of degree k if and only if G2 has a vertex of degree k. So this is another necessary condition. If G1 has a vertex of degree 5, then G2 must also have a vertex of degree 5. So keep that in mind. Again, this follows from the definition. Number D. I'll explain all of these, don't worry. I'm first writing all the possible lists. G1 has a cycle of length K if and only if G2 has a cycle of length K. Number E, G1 is connected if and only if G2 is connected. That means a connected graph cannot be isomorphic to a disconnected graph. Number F, G1 is simple if and only if G2 is simple. And there are many other conditions. I am stopping here in the list, but there are many other conditions in the list. So this is the necessary condition to be isomorphic. That means if the two graphs are isomorphic, then all of these must hold. Okay, you can check in the previous example that I have done, the first example that I did, this all conditions are satisfied. But remember one thing, even if all conditions are satisfied, you cannot conclude that the two graphs are isomorphic. To prove that two graphs are isomorphic, you have to construct that map. Those two maps satisfying those conditions. But to disprove that the two graphs are isomorphic, or to prove that two graphs are not isomorphic, you show that any one of these does not hold. I'll give a quick example for each one of them and then I will end the class. Are these two graphs isomorphic, G and H? Can these two graphs be isomorphic? No. Why no? So this condition does not hold. Remember, necessary condition always means if this does not hold, then this will not hold. That means you clearly write that. How will you write your answer? Like this. So to prove not isomorphic is very easy, since number of vertex set in G is not same as number of vertex set in H. Therefore, G cannot be isomorphic to H. Okay, because the first condition is violated. Let's see another example. This is the advantage of a necessary condition. Remember that. Let's take another example too. Can these two graphs be isomorphic? No. Why no?
Number of edges.
Yes. So you always start with counting the number of vertices. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, they have the same vertices. Number of vertices, good enough. So now you count the number of edges. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. So since number of edges in the first graph is not equal to the number of edges in the second graph, so always check like this. Okay, therefore G cannot be isomorphic to H. Good enough. Let's take another example. So another example that I was thinking is like this. Okay, let me draw a graph like this. Let's join all of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And draw one more line like this. Call this graph as G. And let me draw a similar graph here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1. You can draw like this. You can draw like this. You can draw like this. Like this, like this. Okay, if I ask you whether these two graphs G and H are isomorphic or not, so you always start by counting the vertices 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, the number of vertices is same, but that does not mean that the two graphs are isomorphic, because that is not a necessary condition. Let's count the number of edges. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, number of edges in both the graphs are same, but again that does not mean that the two graphs are isomorphic. You see, this graph has a vertex of degree 5. This is a vertex of degree 5, but here there is no vertex of degree 5. The highest degree that you can see is 3. The highest vertex that you can see is 3. So what I'll write, since H has a vertex of degree 5, but there is no vertex in G having degree 5, therefore G and H cannot be isomorphic. This follows from here what I have written here. If G1 and G2 are isomorphic, then G1 has a vertex of degree k if and only if G2 has a vertex of degree k. Or this simply means that G1 and G2 have same degree sequence. G1 and G2 have same degree sequence. You can write it here. This condition also means that is degree sequence of G1 is same as degree sequence of G2. So because they do not have the same degree sequence, because if you write down the degree sequence 2, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, and the degree sequence is 1, and you can write all of 1, then 2, then 2, then 2, then 2, then 5. So they do not have the same degree sequence, then the graphs are not isomorphic. Am I clear up to here? Okay, thank you.